The internet, it's brought us all closer together, right? But what happens when that power to connect falls into the wrong hands? For some, it's not about community. It becomes a hunting ground. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. The dark side of our digital world, how offenders exploit it, and, crucially, how investigators are fighting back.
All right, I want to start with a number, just one number, 1433. Now, what does that mean? Well, a federal study looked at just 62 offenders, a pretty small group, and between them, they had molested 1,433 victims. And the scariest part? All of those were undetected victims. This isn't some new kind of evil. It's an age-old crime that's been given rocket fuel by the internet. And that right there, that's the core of the problem, isn't it? The internet gives these predators global reach and what feels like total anonymity. So the question we really need to ask is this: how did this digital playground completely change the rules of the game? Not just for the criminals, but for the investigators trying to catch them.
Okay, so let's start with the why. Why is the internet such a magnet for this kind of behavior? Well, experts have a pretty chilling term for it. They call it a target-rich environment. And when you break it down, you can really see why.
So what's the appeal? Well, first off, the internet basically erases geography. An offender in one country can easily reach a victim halfway across the world. Then there's this sheer amount of personal info we all put out there. It's like an open playbook for them. They also get this feeling of being untouchable, hiding behind a screen. And a huge one. They can pretend to be anyone, a different age, a different gender, you name it. And maybe the most disturbing part, they can find these little corners of the internet, these peer groups, that actually tell them what they're doing is okay, that normalize this horrific behavior.
And that last point, the ability to just invent a new identity, that is probably their single most powerful weapon. It's not just about hiding who they are. No, it's about building a character, a whole persona specifically designed as a trap to lure someone in, gain their trust, and then, of course, abuse it. A perfect and really chilling example of this is the case of a man named Michael Spielman. Now, Spielman was 52 years old, but online, he was Lisa, a 16-year-old girl. He used this fake Lisa persona to start an online relationship with a 15-year-old girl. And over time, he groomed her, manipulated her, and eventually got her to send him explicit pictures. I mean, it just shows you exactly how this deception moves from the screen into the real world with devastating consequences. And this brings us to a really crucial point. It's so important to get this. The technology might be new, but the behaviors, the tactics, they are ancient. The internet didn't invent this evil. It just gave it a brand new global playground. Listen to this. This is a quote from a convicted offender, Joseph Henry, testifying before Congress all the way back in 1985. Think about that. This is way before the internet was a thing in our homes. He said, "I used all the normal techniques. I bribed my victims. I pleaded with them. Their desire to be loved, their trust, made them perfect victims." It's haunting. He's literally laying out the playbook, a playbook that's just as relevant today. And now we have a name for this whole process. We call it grooming. So what exactly is grooming? It's a calculated process. It's all about an offender gaining control. They look for weaknesses, maybe loneliness, low self-esteem, or just plain curiosity, and they exploit them to build trust. Sometimes they even use fear. Once they've established that connection, they use it to break down boundaries, to manipulate, and to isolate their victim from anyone who could possibly help. But here's where the story takes a turn, because that same technology that gives these criminals a place to hide, it's a double-edged sword. It also creates a trail, a digital trail. And no matter how hard they try to cover their tracks, they almost always leave something behind for investigators to find. And man, talk about a challenge. Look at this. A suspect's digital life isn't just in one place. It's everywhere. It's scattered across their home computer, their work devices, their phone, their online storage, cloud accounts, even old physical hard drives and CDs. So for an investigator, it's like a giant high-stakes puzzle. They have to find every single one of those pieces and put them together to see the full incriminating picture. The best way to think about it is like digital footprints in the sand. Every single action they take online, every click, every chat message, every fake profile they create, it leaves a trace. And yeah, they try to cover their tracks. They'll delete files, use encryption, try all sorts of tricks. But a good digital forensic investigator, they know how to find those faint traces that were left behind.
So how does this digital hunt actually work? It is a really detailed, methodical process. Investigators will tear apart computers, mobile phones, any kind of removable media. They'll get logs from internet service providers to trace online activity back to a physical place. They'll pore over chat logs and online profiles. They also have to be experts at cracking concealment techniques, stuff like encryption or even hiding data inside image files. And sometimes the most effective tool is old-school police work with a new twist, going undercover online, posing as a fictitious victim to catch these guys in the act.
Okay, so enough with the theory, let's look at some actual case files. This is where we see how these investigative techniques play out in the real world and how they lead to justice.
Let's start with the case of a man named Scott Tyree. This one is a perfect, if terrifying, example of how one little piece of that digital trail, combined with a single person doing the right thing, can literally stop a crime as it's happening.
So Tyree was operating online under the screen name, get this, master_14 slave girls. Just unbelievably brazen. He met a 13-year-old girl in a chat room and eventually lured her to his home. But here's where the digital trail paid off. An online acquaintance of Tyree's saw a live webcam feed of the victim tied to a bed and immediately called the FBI. That one digital tip, that one phone call, led investigators right to his front door, and they rescued that girl.
Next up is the absolutely tragic case of Peter Chapman. And this one really shows the terrifying scale these predators can achieve online. Now, Chapman already had a prior conviction for rape. He got online and posed as a 17-year-old boy on sites like Facebook. And using this fake persona, he built a massive network, becoming friends with nearly 3,000 young women. One of those was a 17-year-old named Ashley Hall. After grooming her online for months, he arranged to meet her. He then kidnapped, raped, and murdered her. He confessed the very next day and was sentenced to life. That massive social network, that was his hunting ground. When you look at these cases, you see what this really is. It's a constant cat and mouse game. It's a technological arms race. As our technology gets more advanced, so do the methods of the criminals, and so do the methods of the investigators trying to stop them. It really leaves us with a huge, lingering question, doesn't it? As things keep evolving, how do we as a society keep up? How do we make the internet a safer place for everyone without losing the amazing power of connection that it gives us in the first place?